So tell us
Correct.
about the work that you're doing today. Just go deeper into that.
We were born, I like to say, like about 19 months ago at this point. I do like to talk about it like it's a soul baby that had a lot of midwives to bring it to earth. And the intention of the community is to really bring together authenticity and ambition. And it's sort of the anti-patriarchy as far as a community goes. Like, we don't have any income requirements for people. We're not all about polished pitches. And so it's a lot of the things that you might feel intimidated by in other communities. We actually don't have them a part of our community at all, very much on purpose, because what brings people into our community is our values. And what we stand for is really giving people a safe place to have permission to be your full, authentic, messy, real, raw, big, bold, quiet, whatever that is for you, that you don't have to be performative in our spaces.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Have you ever had a moment where you knew deep in your bones that the version of success you've been chasing was no longer yours to carry? My guest today, Melissa Bauknight, had that moment twice. She had all the outward signs of success, a top ranked corporate sales leader, high performer, achiever, and all the ways we're taught to aim for. And yet it all cracked open. Her body, her identity, her carefully curated life. And that breaking open, it became her becoming. Melissa is the founder of The Nova, a global network of soul-led women who are rewriting the rules of leadership, visibility, and success. She's built one of the fastest growing women's ecosystems in the country, and she's doing it by creating spaces where women stop performing and start remembering who they really are. Which brings me to this. At Extraordinary Women Ignite this November, we are gathering women who are ready to build businesses and lives rooted in truth, voice, and legacy. This is your invitation to join us. When you register at CamiGellner.com/ignite, use the code EWR for $100 off your ticket. This is a room where real clarity and real connection ignite. Now let's drop into this rich, resonant conversation with Melissa Bauknight. We talk about reclaiming your voice, the healing force of community, and the quiet courage of choosing yourself again and again. Let's dive in. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Melissa. I'm excited to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you and I have got to know each other a little bit here in the last couple of months, and I really enjoyed hearing the work that you're doing, and I think it's so important. And I think so. I'm looking forward to hearing some of the stories about how you found your pathway into this work that you're doing. So let's just start with that. Let's start with your story of what brought you into the work that you're doing today. I know you've had a long, successful career, but you've had a big shift come up for you.
Yes. Well, you did say we only have 30 minutes, but I might. Just kidding. I know. Well, it's always so funny when people are like, what's the one moment? I'm like,
Right.
It's been like 1,000, maybe more moments.
Yeah.
But it has been a gradual evolution. And I will say that the vision for what I'm doing today, I have known about it for 10 years. And I always like to mention that when it comes up, because I am somebody that doesn't have a lot of patience, and I'm usually in a hurry when I get an idea. And I think that that's pretty
Make it
common
happen.
yeah, like I'm a manifesting generator. I'm like, let's go, let's do this thing. And so often, especially when your soul work is coming forward through you, which for the record, I don't know that you always know that that's the case. I didn't know that in the beginning. When I first learned about what I thought that I might do in my work, I did not know that it would be something that would take me on such a journey. I was in corporate America back then, and I was doing a project through Landmark Worldwide, and I did something that was helping women discover their voices and be of service of that in the world. And through that project, I had this just like this deep knowing that I would do something with that. And it made no sense for my life, but it started this restlessness within me, and this whisper that started to just get louder and louder and louder over the years. And so this is going to really glaze over a pretty big 9-year journey. But what happened was a becoming. What happened was me becoming the person that could bring that vision to life.
Right.
9 years later. And so I just think it's important to be as patient as you can with who you are and the season of life that you're in. When you have something that's like nagging at your soul or nagging at your heart that wants to come alive, it's taking you on a journey very much on purpose. And who I was when I learned about this vision was not capable of doing what I'm doing today.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think that's the beauty of the unfolding of what we become when we're
Yes.
being called. And it's like we have to evolve and blossom and bloom ourselves in order for us to
Yes.
be able to do the work that we're being called to do. So tell us
Correct.
about the work that you're doing today. Just go deeper into that.
Yeah, so I founded a community called the Nova Global, and we have been alive on the earth. We were born, I like to say, like about 19 months ago at this point. I do like to
Hmm.
talk about it like it's a soul baby that had a lot of midwives to bring it to earth. And the intention of the community is to really bring together authenticity and ambition. And it's sort of the anti-patriarchy as far as a community goes. Like, we don't have any income requirements for people. We're not all about polished pitches. And so it's a lot of the things that you might feel intimidated by in other communities. We actually don't have them a part of our community at all, very much on purpose, because
Hmm.
what brings people into our community is our values.
Hmm.
And what we stand for is really giving people a safe place to have permission to be your full, authentic, messy, real, raw, big, bold, quiet, whatever that is for you, that you don't have to be performative in our spaces. And we do events. So that is done through virtual and in-person events.
Hmm.
And we have local and virtual chapters. So now we have 5 chapters that are local, and we'll have 8 by the end of October. And then we have a virtual community that unites us all. So we have a robust virtual programming, and all of it's done around our 4 core values, which are bold authenticity, collective empowerment, sacred rebellion, which we're about to cross into in July, which is a
Ooh.
real crowd pleaser, and holistic excellence. And so it's a lot of the things that women I've found in my own personal journey, and then just being in sacred containers with women for the last 10 years, that we're craving. We're craving a way to rewrite the rules for ourselves and to be able to show up in the world in a way that actually is authentic and true for us, and not trying to shapeshift our way into a world that was never built for us.
I love it. And one of the things I really love about your community, it's a lot of your women are corporate women, and I think that just doesn't exist out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I keep trying to force myself to box us in, which just sounds like a ridiculous sentence, because everyone's like, well, what's your niche? What's your lane? Like, are you talking to entrepreneurs? Are you talking to corporate women? And I'm like, yes.
Yes.
We talk to the unboxed woman,
Yeah.
because most of the women that come into our community are, 35 to 65. It's a pretty broad range, but they've
Hmm.
usually been in their career for some time. They've
Hmm.
generally even already pivoted into something that's more meaningful. They're in the middle of a pivot, or they have a desire. So they really want to do something with more purpose, more impact, something that speaks more to their soul. And that might look like, in some seasons of life, your corporate role. That
Right.
might look like you being in corporate with something that you're working on the side to exit your corporate career. That might
Right.
look like you being a female founder. And having worn all of those hats in my life, I would hate to be an entrepreneur and have the community only be for entrepreneurs. And then I have to go back to corporate because that's what that season of life is calling for. And then I lose my
Yeah.
belonging and I get kicked out of the community.
Yeah.
So we really
It's really
speak to
open.
we really speak to professional woman who's more drawn by those soul aligned values versus like not necessarily like the occupation that you've chosen in that moment.
Yeah. So I know community is a big piece of, what you do. It's about bringing together women in this container. Tell us
Mhm.
more about what community means for you. Why were you called to create community?
Community is like oxygen to me.
Yeah.
I was raised in a very community centric household. It happened to be inside of the Christian community. I was raised in a
Hmm.
very conservative Christian household, and I was always raised by everyone. Like, even in our neighborhood, we had, my mom was a stay at home mom, and we had what we would call babysitting co op. So we were always like at everyone's houses, and we had a very village mentality in my upbringing. And so it's really all I've ever known. And it's my go to in any season of life. So that upbringing paired with team sports, I played competitive team sports all through college. So I was a collegiate pitcher. And so it's just like how I'm wired is get surrounded by people who can uplift and support you in whatever you're navigating in life. And before I did it for a living, I did it for fun all the time. So when I
You
got
just were doing it
pregnant,
naturally.
I was just doing it. When I got pregnant, I like put up a note on Nextdoor and I was like, who's pregnant in Wash Park that wants to be my friend? And we got this huge community of women together. We were hanging out all the time. When I moved to, I'm like pointing outside. I live in Golden now. When I moved to Golden, I knew nobody in my neighborhood. I always say I just started picking up chicks with strollers on the side of the road and at the park. And I was like, hey, let's start a monthly gathering. Let's get to know one another. And I had this vision of having a village like I grew up in and being able to have friends that felt like family, because I don't have family here. And my husband doesn't. I mean, we have some in Boulder, but Boulder's not next door. And
Right.
so we started to do a monthly gathering, and that grew to we ended up having to get a spreadsheet because it was 75 women after a year or two of doing that. And now I don't even know how many people that I could call at like that would do anything for me. I never have
Yeah.
to worry about having support. And so it's how I live life. And I think there's an isolation epidemic in our country.
Yeah.
And we have really been taught to not ask for help, to go it alone, that somehow that means you're weak. And a lot of times you don't even know who your neighbor is. And people really struggle with, how do I even make friends? How do I find community? And I think if I can give any gift to anybody, it's to teach them how to do that and to never feel alone in anything that they're navigating in life.
Yeah, I love it so much. I think that's why you and I were so aligned when we first met. It was because I think for me, I have run my Extraordinary Women Connect community for many, many years. And
Mm-hmm.
that community, like you said, I could pick up the phone and call anybody and just be able to lean into someone.
Yeah.
And I've never felt lonely in my business, which is, people say, being an entrepreneur, is that not lonely? And I'm like, heck no, I've got people
Never.
around me all over the place.
I
It's like,
know.
I have the most wonderful clients. I have the most wonderful, collaborators. And, it's just all the different people that we bring into our communities makes it not be lonely for sure. But I
Yeah.
do see where that can happen. I mean, I see that with people that can kind of isolate themselves in a new area or something, and or even in just your roles that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just takes a matter of just stepping out and saying, who do I want to be around? I mean, who are the people I want to be in community with, and
Yes.
opening the door, just as you said, reaching out on Nextdoor was a great way to get going, for the moms thing. How did you bring to life the community of Nova?
Well, it started in when I first felt like this is time, which was truthfully a knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I joined a mastermind, and I joined it with a ordained priestess
Mm-hmm.
who, it was more of a sacred business mastermind. And I joined that with the lens of, in order to bring this next iteration of my work into the world, I had a belief and a knowing that it was going to take everything in my life to be in what I would call alignment and integrity. And I knew I was still hiding in my spirituality because I was scared, because I didn't really fit the mold that my family wanted me to be in. And I was afraid to lose my
Bring that,
belonging in my
yeah,
family,
right.
and to like speak that out loud. And my marriage wasn't in the best place. And so I was like, well, I'd like to repair my marriage and come out with my spirituality so I can grow my business. And usually people don't come at it with that lens. They usually are like, well, I need the strategy and the marketing and the business plan. And I'm like, well, my business plan is that for now. And so that's kind of where it started. And so it was all being co-created at the same time. And I I love to tell the story that we were literally like naked in a pool in Tulum with like 9 other women, just brainstorming ideas of like what we could call it and what it would be and who it would serve. And we were just like all getting so excited and just like being in the energy of the vision of who the Nova would serve and what it would do. And that's kind of like where it began. And I started to do calls with other women that were in my life. Jennifer McNiven was one of them. I think you know her.
Yep,
And so
that's
there were
her.
just women that I knew that were like interested in this idea. I just started to talk about it and like breathe life into it. And, one of them was a woman, Brenda, who I had just met, but she was so intrigued what I was doing because she had been a corporate exec who was like secretly a Reiki master and like traveling to India and learning meditation her whole life, to like just survive as a single corporate mom. And so we just started these conversations, and it was just this like, it was almost like we let the soul of the Nova, and it didn't have that name. We were just like, what does it want to be? And I just started to talk about it and to talk about it. And then like Brenda was like, well, what if we really got serious about this? And I'm like, let's do it, And then it was like, then I got with AI and I was like, hey, AI, like I've never done this before. If you were running a business like this, who would you hire? What would your job description be? I mean, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so it was just like this very organic process of bringing it to life, completely different than probably how my husband would have done it. I never had an official business plan until like 6 months into it. Then I'm like, I should probably put a business, and I still don't even have like, I'm like getting a really good one
Who
now.
does like a really formal long-term? Yeah.
Boring. That would have boxed me, and I would have hated it. So
Yeah.
we really just built the plane as we were flying it, and let it inform us what it wants to be. And it's so fun now because we're almost 2 years in, and so much of what's happening now, people will be like, oh my God, I have this idea. Like, what if we did this? And I'm like, I know. We've been talking about this. It's like day one. It's like almost not, I don't want to say that like we had it all mapped out and all figured out, but it's almost like so much of it was always there. And now it's like, it's time for that piece of it to take form.
Yeah.
And so it's like, when it's time for those pieces to take form, then like external energy comes in through other people.
Yeah.
And they're like, multiple people will come in and they'll say like, how about this? How about this? And I'll get it like 3 or 4 times from just random people, not so random. And then we'll move forward with that idea.
I love this so much. And, I think about, as a business coach, I never take my clients down a pathway of writing a business plan. That's just not something that I ever start with them. I always start with like starting from the inside out. Who are you? What do you want? What's the difference you want to make? What's the impact you want to make? And listening to that soul wisdom, like you were doing, like really listening deep and then trusting it is so powerful. And I think to me, that's the kind of businesses that we are all being drawn to lead. And I will take my clients down that journey all day long over sitting down and writing a business plan, because I think that we lose the heart of what we want to bring to life. And as you were indicating, it's like it informs us along the way. We can build ecosystems that support our business, and we can build the infrastructure that helps us grow and evolve and scale. And all of that's really an important part of it. But it's much more soul guided when we do it that way. And I think that kind of work really, it allows us to create something that's so special and so different. And I think that's what women are doing differently today, that when we think about how the paradigm of business is shifting, I think this is what women are being called to do, is to bring a whole different energy into the work that we bring into the world, and the impact that we create with our work. Absolutely. So, and I think the other piece that I think is really interesting is just the trusting the spirit wisdom that was showing up for you. I remember there was a time, I came out of the corporate world too, and where I was very linear thinking, and I was journaling, and I was like having this whole conversation with myself about what my business wanted to be. And what came up for me on a specific day was that it wanted to be a spirit driven business. And I was like, what?
What does that even mean?
And so it was, I had to really trust and explore that. And I think it's like you said, you're like you're almost coming out with okay, I'm bringing my spirit side of me out into the world. And that's a big deal. And I remember that too, because that was not a part of my world. It really was not a part of my world back in the corporate world.
Yeah. Especially when it's like, because when you're in the corporate world, and I'm not saying I have no issue with any organized religion, but all of them have really structured rules. They have like defined ways of being, ways of showing up, what you can and what you cannot do. And when you start to break out of that, especially when you're talking about spirituality and soul-led businesses, there's not a lot of rules. There's not a playbook. And so you're like, okay, I have this idea. I got this message. I'm supposed to lead with my spirit. What the hell does that even mean? Like, how do I even do this? Okay, I'm not going to do a business plan, but then what do I do? And I think it can be like, it's so enlivening and it's so fun. And it's also so scary and strange at the same time. Like, it's like equal parts of both to create business in a totally different way. And the other wild part about it, and we just had a call inside the Nova. We do a monthly share your gift call where it's member led and somebody obviously shares their gift. And so the woman was like, I had a whole different plan up until yesterday of what this call was going to be about. Then I saw this show on the airplane back. She was flying actually back from Denver. And she's like, and I changed my mind. And now we're going to do it this way. And she's like, but this is the whole point of learning how to trust yourself and learning how to scrap the plan and to flow with your business and what you know is being like, what the strongest energy is that's being asked of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, because it's like when we just make that switch and we listen to what's showing up for us in the moment, it's usually exactly what is needed to be spoken, what the people in the audience might need, what that person might need. It's, trusting that is so important.
Yeah. Well, and this, going back to community, when you start to co-create with community, so we're talking a lot of co-creation, we're talking co-creation with whatever your spiritual practice is. So co-creating with the universe, God, spirit. So you're co-creating with that, you're co-creating with your internal trust, and then co-creating with community is how I think you create and I create. And so that comes, so it's almost like the business then gets informed by who I'm getting introduced to, the timing of those conversations, and the energy of that is informing the business as well. And it's not that everyone that comes into my life and my business is changing the direction of the business, but it's pretty wild and frequent that I just almost like angels land in my lap on a regular basis that are like, now I have this gift that you might need right now. I'm like, yeah, you have the exact gift that I was about to start searching for. Thank you for coming to me, or thank you for this other person introducing me to you and just knowing that I needed to know you. And that's been like one of the wildest experiences. And that happens like every week.
I love that. I love it. It just means you're in the flow. You're, that the universe is all in behind you when it's really supporting you with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about, we've kind of hit on it a little bit, but it's like, how do we stop hiding parts of ourselves? Like really letting our full light shine. Talk to us a little bit about that.
We have to practice in tiny little baby steps.
Yeah.
It's scary, and it's really a nervous system thing to feel safe, to be seen, to be yourself. Mm-hmm. And I look at the spaces that we create in the Nova, for example, as practice ground. Just as if you wanted to be an incredible athlete and teach yourself a new skill, I'll speak from being a softball player. I went to the batting cages and hit thousands and thousands of balls to be a good hitter. I don't even know how many pitches to be able to be a pitcher like that. And so you think about when you're learning a new skill, like visibility, when you're learning to come out of hiding, you have to be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
You're not going to go from like, I was the person in the back of the room that if you called me to the stage, I would rather die. Like, I would probably lie to you, make up a really big, weird excuse, and then run out the door. Not even joking. And I had like Xanax in my purse just in case like I got put into a situation that was uncomfortable. So I went from that person to like, put me in an arena, like, and so
let's go.
But that was 10 years, like that really
take an evolution for that.
It's an evolution. So I think you find places and spaces where vulnerability is the norm. Mm-hmm. You might start with one other person, right? Whether I started with a therapist and a one-on-one coach. Then I
Mhm.
went into a mastermind group. Then it was just like these tiny little steps that kept building on each other until I don't know how to live any other way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my husband's like, can you just small talk? I'm like, I can't. I don't know how. I'm like, let's get into your childhood trauma right now. I know we just
Yeah.
met 30 seconds ago. So it's such an iterative process, but you just got to meet yourself where you are and then just keep going, keep
Yeah.
practicing.
One of the things I've heard just recently was it's not only being visible and being seen, but it's being witnessed. And I think
Oh,
that
yes.
being witnessed piece is such it's such a skill builder for us. When and I came down a pathway like you where I was like stages were not my thing when I started my business 15 years ago. I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to grow my business some other way. And then luckily I had the right people come into my life, all those exact people who are supposed to come into your life
Mm-hmm.
when they do. And I learned and I learned that I liked to be on stages and I learned that I liked sharing my voice and
Mm-hmm.
um, and then I learned to embody my message. And so it's like we go through these stages of we get some confidence, but then it's even that next level of embodying our message, right? So that
Yes.
people can just feel where we're at,
Mm-hmm.
and that being witnessed in that space is so powerful.
I'm so glad you said it. It's you can't do it without it.
Right. Right.
You
And I think
cannot
that's what your
because
community is doing such a beautiful job of
yeah.
creating spaces like that.
Well, in order to see yourself, you need to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it does need to happen. I mean, you need to be seen with people you just, there's discernment there. Not everybody,
Yeah,
not
that's
everyone's
true.
opinion matters, to be
Right.
clear.
Right.
But I remember the first time, which was actually in Landmark in that same as a self-expression and leadership program, when I was so scared to speak, and I stood up and I shared something. I have no clue what it was, and the facilitator like stopped me in my tracks and witnessed me. And I don't even know exactly what she said, but she was like, "Can you all feel her presence? Do you feel the way that she commands the room and the way that she speaks?" And something to that effect. And it was like it just took me back. I'm like, "Holy cow,
Yeah.
me?"
Yeah.
And from then on, one of the things they had us practice, and I've carried this forward, and actually I still do this, where sometimes you need that reminder, where I would reach out to a friend that knows me and I'd be like, I could use some acknowledgement today. Like, I'm having a hard time remembering who I am. I'm having a hard time like seeing myself today. And would you just reflect back to me like something that you love about me, because I'm having a hard time seeing it.
So smart.
And
Really
then you
smart.
just get these like beautiful messages, and then you should save them. Like, we've
Yeah.
actually done this for girlfriends where we'll do like a whole chat, or we'll do like a note where we all send messages and then we save them in a place where they can refer back to for when they forget, because it's not an if you forget, it's
It's
a
when.
when you
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
And so we have these like little message boards that we can go back, and we have like 5 or 6 messages from people who like just see us in the most profound ways that we can re-listen to.
Oh, I love this so much. My friend Paula Friedland developed a body of work called Soul Speaks.
Mm-hmm.
And we have partnered together on a weekend speaker training that we've done this
Ooh.
will be our 7th year of doing it here this next month. And it's Soul Speaks is really very much about speaking from your soul and really just being in all of your essence, right?
Mm.
And not from your head, but really from your soul. And one of the things we do, and we teach Soul Speaks to my community, is on the very last day, well, and over the course of the whole weekend, we do this. Actually, somebody will get onto the stage and they'll speak. And then when, everybody claps when it's all done. And then we open it up to essence words. And so, and then one of us is writing down what these essence words are into their notebook. So they walk away with this notebook. And so as they finish, people are just shouting out what was the essence they saw in that person. They're not really tapping into their content at all. It's very
Mm.
much about their presence, about their essence. And, we write those down into a little book. And so every time they take the stage, they get that back so that they get to walk away with the essence of what they were projecting on the stage, or they
I
were
love that.
embodying on the stage, not projecting. So
That's so
yeah,
beautiful just to have
yeah,
them feel so seen.
exactly, exactly. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So said that I've heard you say that you're not confused, you're remembering. So, for somebody that is like really tuning in and it's like, okay, you're not confused, you're remembering. What does that really mean? How does somebody look at that?
Well, so many women think that they don't know.
Right.
And I also say I've never met a confused woman.
That's funny. That's very funny. I like it.
And I never have. I've met a
Yeah.
lot of people who think they are. And but if you just get them talking, it's
Yeah.
not even that hard. You don't even have to create like this whole crazy, like perfect ambiance to get them to tell you. It's a trust. And so often it's like a part of themselves that they haven't, it's not even a new part of, that's why it's so remembering. It's not even a new part of themselves. It's like an old part of themselves that they're tapping into. And, I like an example might be somebody that's creating a business and be like,
Yeah.
well, what would you want it to look like? And they'd be like, oh, I don't know. And it's like, well, let's just pretend you do, when you like close your eyes and you walk them through something. And then they're like, oh, I would walk in and the door would be like walnut. And then there'd be this plant, they like describe the plant in the corner and, it's like every tiny detail. I'm like, so you do know.
Right.
And
Oh
I'm like,
my gosh.
it's like, what's the impact that you would have and what would you do with that person? And like, what would she walk away and what would she be thanking you for? And she's like, oh, she would thank me for this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, so you don't know what you would do, and it's
Yeah.
like every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And it's really the pause, right? It's the pause and reflecting, because I think what happens is people don't pause and reflect. And so then
Yeah.
that's where they don't have any clarity around something. But I love that you say that you've never met a woman that didn't have clarity. And it's just a matter of being able to pause and listen to that inner wisdom
Yeah. And
and
have someone hold
take it.
space for you.
Yeah.
Like I had a
Yeah.
friend do it for me when I wanted to do the 1 year Nova celebration. And of course I was like, I don't know what I would want to do. And she's like, well, what if we did a call? And I just asked you some questions. And of course I was like, everybody would wear gold. And we would, I like knew everything. I could see the venue. I was like, there's wooden beams in the ceiling. And I knew the whole thing. And it just took her holding space for me and asking me questions, and the pause, which you just said, like me just like taking a moment to just feel into it and say it out loud. And I think some of what we do is we're like, oh, that's crazy, like I could never, or who am I to ... So often we like
Right.
talk ourselves out of the thing that we know.
Mm-hmm.
But especially when we're doing this in a space with somebody else that can validate, that can witness, to your
Right.
point,
Right.
that's like, no, that's not wild at all. Like what would you do next? And then what would you do next? And who do you need to meet? And what door can I open for you? It's like, it starts to become possible is what happens. But
Yeah.
the first step is just to like give yourself permission to even like speak it out loud.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So where is Nova Global going? What's the next big steps for you?
I love talking about this. So we're launching right now our sacred container, which is our masterminds. And what we will eventually have is a whole faculty of people that will have this next step in our community, because what we're really looking at it is, what do you need to meet you right now and where you're at in your life and your business? So do you want to be in a virtual container where you can connect in with women all over the world? Are you connecting in local constellations, which are our chapters? Or do you really want to be held with more accountability to bring that next iteration of yourself and your work to life?
Mm-hmm.
I find that I kind of always need that. I'm actually going to participate in one because I'm like,
Right.
I need that.
Yeah.
So especially
Absolutely.
now. So that's called the Orbit. So the Orbit is coming to life this summer.
Nice.
And so that's like our next big thing. But I'm a manifesting generator, so I never just have one thing. So, we're simultaneously, we're launching 2 more constellations. So like I said, we'll have 8 by the end of October. So we'll have the greater DC area, and we'll have like San Francisco, and those will be launching in the fall. And then we'll have our first retreat. So it's called Supernova. and we've rented out the Star House in Boulder, and
Oh, nice.
I'm so excited. So end of September, we'll be doing Supernova at the Star House.
Oh, that'll be
And so,
amazing.
yeah. So what I feel like is happening, like I said earlier, is these fun ideas that we've had of like, what if we had these like facilitated cohorts, and what if we had in-person like retreat experiences? And so it just feels like it's like these stepping stones inside of our community to really to continue to like crystallize and grow and deepen into these relationships are coming to life. And so I think it'll just be more of those as we move forward. But so it's like the first iteration of those things are all happening now.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. So where can people learn more about you and about Nova?
Well, all of our branding and all of our websites, LinkedIn, Instagram, are the novaglobal.com, the Nova Global on Instagram. And I'm Melissa Bauknight, and that is my brand. I actually was the Ripple Connection forever. And when I started the Nova, I was like, I'm transitioning to founder. And so if you look up my website, it just says under construction. And I haven't
Yeah.
had capacity to rebuild my own brand, but it's, that's just like the next
That's what
iteration.
I mean,
So,
you can only balance so much.
oh my gosh, you really
Right.
can.
Yeah.
I'd love to try to do it all at once. But
Yeah.
yeah, check us out at the Nova Global. And we have, anytime you want to come to an event, like we've spoken about, it's an energy. And we want you to come and check it out and feel the women and feel the space and feel how you feel in the space. And so all of our events are listed on the website, and we do two events a month in Denver and then 2 events a month in Boulder, or like the area. And then we have Phoenix, New England. Why am I drawing a blank? Greater New York City, which is mostly in northern New Jersey. And all of our virtual events as well. I think I'm forgetting one, but that's okay. They're all on our website. So come hang out with us.
Excellent. I love that. And the final question I
Yeah.
always close with is, what are 3 pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
Well, one I already said, you're not confused. You're never alone.
Mm-hmm.
And you belong.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Well, Melissa, it's so great knowing you, and I look forward to continuing to know you more. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me.
You bet.